Hello, everybody, and welcome to Back and Forth. I'm Gecko Man, your host, and sitting beside me is my co-host, Rogue Gambit, the man who is inevitable.
And I am your father.
All right, today we are going to be ranking off our top 5 Star Wars and Marvel characters each.
MCU. This is only canon.
Oh, yes.
That we're considering here.
But we had a bit of a kerfuffle.
Yeah, we couldn't quite decide who got to go first this time, so we decided on a little game. We each will be asking trivia questions from our said universe. I'll be asking Gecko Man Marvel questions, and he'll be asking me
Star Wars questions. And
but
these are
we only have one rule, and that's
Oh.
that trivia has to come off the top of your head. No, we couldn't use any technology to come up with trivia questions. This has to come off the top of your head. All right, Gecko Man, what do you got for me?
All right. Well, who was Count Dooku's master when he was in the Jedi Order?
Yoda.
Wow. I'm a little surprised.
Remember, you can't ask me Count Dooku questions. It's the only character
I was actually very
like.
curious if you actually knew him.
All right. I feel like that was a good question. It was a good, like, middle ground question to start with, so I'll try to go with similar.
I don't know if you could do that.
What finger is the Power Stone on in the Gauntlet?
You think I pay attention to those tiny details? Let's see. I would have to say, I really want to say it's the ring finger.
That would definitely be incorrect because I know exactly what's on the ring finger.
Oh, dang nabbit. All right. What finger is it on?
It is on the middle finger.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it is on the index finger because it is actually the first one he gets because you don't actually see him get it. They just talk about how he destroyed the city.
Oh, yeah.
Before, and then he gets the space zone. That's the first one he gets, and he puts it on his middle finger. So yeah, it's his index finger.
Okay. Did you have to make movements?
Yeah,
if you didn't know, he made a movement of putting
Remember,
the stone.
soul, time, space, power, mind.
He's pointing off which fingers it is. We can show you. We can
Yes.
send this
Someday we'll yeah.
All right.
In reality.
Well then, I feel like okay. Let's see. What's
I believe I just won because I got it right. You got it wrong.
Oh, that's right. You did. Dag nabbit. I was kind of hoping to win this. All right. So what shall we start with then?
We should start with Star Wars.
All right. Since you won, would you like to go first on your Star Wars ranking?
Of course. All right. For my Star Wars ranking, I do believe some of these will surprise you.
All right. Really fast. We are starting from bottom.
Counting from 5 to number 1.
Not -1.
All right. First of all, I cheated, so I do have one that's 2 characters.
What?
I'll explain it when we get there.
Okay.
All right, so I did mine a little differently. I didn't want to just like rank like, oh, these are my 5 favorite characters. I wanted to do it like the way that they were portrayed, the way that their stories were written and things. So with each one, number 5, I decided to go with the actor that I think was the best choice for his character. And of course, these are, characters I still like. It's not like, I think he was a really good choice, but he had a terrible job. They still had to do a good job. So anyways, at number 5, I have Qui-Gon Jin.
Ah, yes.
I think that Liam Neeson was an excellent choice
He was.
for that, he's not old, but older master that's just like pure good, like he's
Oh yeah.
absolute good.
Yeah. I like that ranking for Qui-Gon Jinn, Liam Neeson.
And number 4, this is where I cheated. So I couldn't decide between these 2 characters for the best story arc. All right, and that was between Yoda and Count Dooku. I think that they're the only characters, in my opinion, that have a like super impressive story arc from even in the prequels. Of course, Count Dooku's only in the prequels, but
He's in the Clone Wars.
Well, yes, and even I didn't even think about that. And in Clone Wars, like they have a really good story arc all the way, and then in the originals, they had a really good story arc. There's not really any others that did that through so many movies, and that's why I chose him. And also, yeah, like I said, Count Dooku is one of the few Star Wars characters I actually really liked through about everything. And Yoda, same thing. Like, I think his story arc's just super fun. Um, you know, you learn. I feel like he's one of those characters that I feel like you can always learn more like the more you see him,
Oh yeah.
like
Oh
so
yeah.
many characters, yes, he is like 900 years old or whatever, so he has a very long life you can explore, but like I feel like a lot of characters, especially in sci-fi movies, just like kind of get old quick, but I feel like both of them I could just delve in and learn more and more, and so they're super fun, and that's why I like their story arc so much. Anything you
Okay.
want to say about that?
No, I think those are some good choices right there because they do have some really amazing story arcs in the movies as well as in the show and all that. So.
Yes, and that was funny. I didn't want to even think about the show, but now that I think of Clone Wars, like they both had some really fun stories in those
Oh yeah.
too. Count Dooku, oh, man, that voice actor for Count Dooku, I forgot. All right, at number 3, and this is the one I wanted to like, the character that they just like brought to life in the movie or TV show or whatever, um, really well, and that for me was Mandalorian.
Ah, yes.
Of course, I thought the Mandalorians were really cool in the Clone Wars and stuff, and just the way they brought this character that was just like so set in his ways, like just like Mandalorians are. Um, yeah, I I think that the acting job by Pedro Pascal, the writing of the story just brought him to life very well.
Oh yeah. He's a very good character, very good actor for the Mandalorian. Like, oh, even for someone who hasn't never, I think he's someone who never liked the Star Wars
Oh, okay,
universe.
that's
So
cool.
it was kind of
Did not
interesting,
know that.
interesting to see someone like this play a Star Wars character.
And then number 2, I think this might surprise you.
Oh dear.
I have Ahsoka Tano. Oh, so number 2 and 1.
Tano? Who?
Tano.
Tano.
Sorry. So yeah, number 2 and number 1 are just like my favorites. All right. So yeah, number 2 I have Ahsoka Tano.
Mm.
So she's only in like Clone Wars, and now she's had a little live actiony stuff. But
She's also in Rebels, but you haven't really seen enough of it.
But yeah, her character is just super fun. Just plays off of the other characters really well. Her relationship with her master is really interesting. Her relationship with other Jedi is really fun. I love her fighting style. Um, I like how she as she learns to like be more serious at the right points, but she still tries to keep it lighthearted at other times. I really like that about her character.
Do you like a lot of her story arcs in the Clone
Her
Wars?
story arcs, yeah, that's like kind of what I was getting there. Her story arcs are really good. I really like her story arcs. Even in The Mandalorian, her story arc wasn't bad. I just felt like they picked the wrong actress to play her. But yeah, I thought they were really good. Yeah, like I'm saying, I really like her relationships and the way they develop. I really like how she becomes a true like Jedi by the end. Like,
Oh, yeah.
they definitely had a very satisfying story arc. The way it ended and wrapped up.
Yeah. Okay. And
And number 1, I have Darth Vader.
yes, that's actually a very good number 1.
Yeah, he's just like such a solid character.
Yeah.
The original trilogy, he's just so menacing, so strong, so powerful.
Okay, I think you're
So-
getting a little too personal here.
So, and just like, his character arc like is almost inverted in a way. Like he starts out as this villain, and then you grow to like, instead of him, so many villains how they like portray him in movies nowadays and back then too. You like develop like they start the backstory and then they become the villain, and so you like already have this like feeling of who they are, and you like the character, but then they're like the villain, right? Or they tell you their backstory. In this one, like he was a villain, he was evil, and you hated him, but then they like, with one little twist, you're just like, wait a second, this guy like actually has feeling. Like, what? He wants to be with his son. He wants his son to help him. Like, what? And yeah, the way they did that was just so well done. The acting performance fabulous by both the voice actor and the
Oh yeah.
body actor. I don't know what you call him.
What?
And then um,
Let's.
and even everything else he was in, even in Rogue One, even though that movie was terrible, he still did a great job and such. So
Okay.
there's my top 5.
Interesting. That man. To be honest,
Do you think that was a good list?
I thought it was a great
surprise
list.
you in any way?
The only thing that really surprised me was the fact he didn't put Ahsoka as number 1, but I understand
Yeah,
why
I
you didn't, because
wanted to. I really did, but like there was more Ahsoka. For me, it's really hard for me to put people number 1 that is just pure based on feeling. Like Darth Vader, it's not just that I like him; it's that he was incredibly well done, and so it's super hard to just put up like my feelings of how much Ahsoka. I like Ahsoka Tano. I don't know why I can't say it suddenly. And just like she's a lot more just an enjoyable character rather than this character that I think is done so well. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why it was really hard. It was hard. It was a hard choice, but that's why I went with Darth Vader.
Okay. Well, that's a very, very interesting list. Now, I think you might have some questionable things about my list, but that's fine. What's a list without some questions, right?
Right.
All right. Well, starting with number 5 is a character I know you've watched the season, at least the first season.
Oh
and
no!
You do not like this
No,
character.
boo!
And I'm surprised I actually put him so low in my top 5. I was expecting to put him higher, but I thought about it. And I was like, no, he's number 5. Is Kanan Jairus?
Yeah,
He has
sucks.
such an amazing story. His story is very good. While yes, in the first season he is not that great of a character. Like he's just a boring normal guy, just kind of annoying. But after his accident, I'll say.
You can give whatever way you want. I don't care.
All right. Well, after he loses his sight, he becomes a much more meditative Jedi. He becomes becomes much more wiser in the Force. He even admits to Ezra that his Jedi training was limited, and so he can't teach him any more than he can do. He can't teach him anything else, and
Okay.
having the character admit something like that is kind of interesting to see, in my opinion.
Interesting.
As well as his death in the show. Fabulous episode, like great episode for a character.
Okay.
Like if you were to watch it, I think you would actually say it was not that bad of an episode.
I might just do that.
Yeah. So moving on.
Sorry, guys, I dropped something.
Moving on. In my number 4, this took me a while to figure out who I wanted to put in. But I finally decided my number 4 is the clone trooper character in the Clone Wars, Fives.
Ooh, I knew you liked Fives, but I'm a little surprised.
Well, the reason I like Fives is because he's such an individual. That's
I really want to sing a song right there.
He has his own, like, you see so many clones and you see so many different clones. They have their names, they have their personalities, but for some reason, for me, Fives felt like he was
The most individual of all.
yes.
Yeah,
And
interesting.
his story, what he does and discovers Order 66,
Yep.
so amazing. I loved that.
Yeah, that was good. That was very well done.
Yes. And then that they bring it into the final episodes, he
Right.
basically saved Ahsoka and Rex.
Basically, that's interesting.
And so I just love him.
He sacrifices himself, right?
So
Kind of.
how he died was basically he was drugged to make him seem kind of crazy.
Yep.
And he trapped Anakin and Rex, and then some clones came in to save them and shot him.
That's right.
So it was sad to see.
That's right.
And
That
it
was
was-
sad.
But they gave him such a good ending. They didn't like
Right.
just quickly write him off. Rex had a moment with him and was like,
Right.
no. But yeah, so that's my number 4. Great character. Now it might surprise you what I put for number 3, because this is your number 1.
Okay.
Is Darth Vader.
I don't have a problem with that.
While yes, I absolutely love Darth Vader, how we first see him as a villain moving in, and we seeing him as he has a backstory, he has this connection with our main character, and how well he's played, how well he was portrayed in the movies, like great.
Yep.
But is he better than my next two?
I would say yes.
Well, for my number 2 is Ahsoka.
Oh wow! I thought that was going to be your number 1. Well, I now know who your number 1 is.
Well, let's focus on
I'm just very
Ahsoka.
surprised. I'm just very, very surprised that Ahsoka isn't number 1. Why is
that-
she number 2?
Well, number 2 is, like you said, she had so many episodes where it was kind of unnecessary.
Okay.
And we didn't really get a lot more. I felt like she could have used more progression episodes. I felt like, but
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
But from what we've seen from her with her progression episodes that we see, like her being convicted of a murder she didn't do.
That was actually a really fun episode.
No, I love those episodes. Has probably one of my favorite Ahsoka and Skywalker scenes that I ever see when they're in the sewer. And
Right.
Great scene. But then also moving into Rebels, she's okay, not too bad, but kind of wish she was a little different the way she is in that show. Mm-hmm. So that would be why she's number 2. Yeah. Anything you want to say for any of these?
No, but I'm going to write something down that I do want to say in the after party.
All right. For my number 1, I want to give you a chance to guess it.
Let me see. I'm trying to remember his real name.
I'll be okay if you wanted to say it.
I can't remember it. Mandalorian.
Correct. Din Djarin.
I
love him. Sorry. I've loved Mandalorians ever since possibly when we first see them actually fight. I know we see Boba Fett for a little bit, how he captures Han Solo, and he is technically a Mandalorian, but when we see like Jango Fett fight, as well as we see a better portrayal of Mandalorians in the Clone Wars, I've loved Mandalorians. But seeing Din Djarin in the Mandalorian show and seeing a live action Mandalorian, watching him with all his and actually giving him all those like weapons that he had.
I love their portrayal of the weapons. Oh, that was beautiful.
He's the best Star Wars character in my opinion.
Though I am surprised that you put him number 1, I think that is completely fair.
All right. Well done.
Anything else you want to say before we move on to?
Well, do you have any questions about my ranking, or because I don't think I have any questions. I may have already asked my questions about.
I do have a question. Why?
If you ask what I think you're gonna ask,
no, you have very few characters on there from the original trilogy.
I know. I was quite surprised that I did that.
Do you think that the character development is better in some of the other movies or in TV shows, or is it just more of a, it's what you grew up on, therefore, it's something you prefer more?
I think it's more of the fact that there's like some great character development, like we see Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia, Darth Vader, we see Yoda, Obi-Wan Kenobi, all those characters, and they're amazing characters. They never really hit me as well as these characters did.
Okay. I think that's all I got. You ready to go into Marvel?
Let's go into Marvel. Shall I start this time?
Sure thing.
All right. So in my Marvel ranking, starting with number 5 is Captain America.
All right.
I just love the way I love the actor. Like he does a
Agreed.
very very good job
Chris
as
Evans.
Chris Evans. Thank you. See, now I can't think of names. Chris Evans. He just does a really good job as Captain America.
Agreed.
Like he's probably the best. He's like the best actor for Captain America.
I cannot agree more. As you'll hear in my list. to do a little foreshadowing.
Number 4 is Wanda.
Wanda Maximoff. Okay. I got a little surprised. I knew you liked her, but I didn't not think she was going to make it into your top 5. Why is she in your top 5?
I was surprised that she was in my top 5 as well, but for the reason is because I really like what they did with her. Like I really liked how they did it. I love the WandaVision show. Like I thought it was a great show. I like how she was in the WandaVision show. She as she was the villain for a while, and then she turns out not to be the villain, of course. But
she still did some villainous things.
Yeah, and I'm excited. I'm very excited to see her in Doctor
Agreed.
Strange.
Agreed.
I'm excited what has become of hers after this conflict that happened in WandaVision. I'm excited. But the reason she is my number 3, I don't think I've actually given you a reason.
Number 4, you mean?
Number 4, thank you. Is because not only is she like super powerful, just the way that they wrote her character and how I felt like how well the actor played her was very well done. Yeah. Any other questions about the?
Yes, Elizabeth Olsen does do a great job. No,
right.
I'm just a little surprised, but I like your choice for sure. Great choice.
All right, now my number 3. This might offend you. Is Winter Soldier.
Okay, we're gonna have the exact same list, except in a different order. All right.
I loved what they did with him in Winter Soldier and how Bucky was in Captain America.
At this point, we should probably state that on the Marvel side, we weren't allowed to choose villains. We'll be doing that list later.
Yeah.
So it described to me how this is not choosing a villain in your top 5.
Let's just say he wasn't considered a villain. Yeah, I realize. I realize
he is definitely a hero.
Well, yeah, I actually couldn't think of anybody else to take the number 3 spot. Yeah. So I
had trouble with my number 3 spot too.
I just stuck with him. So because technically he's not really a villain, but at the same time he's not really a hero, but
right.
So I think it works.
I agree.
Moving on to my number 2 spot, might surprise you a little bit because this is like one of my favorite characters, Doctor Strange.
Oh, wow, that did surprise me. I thought it was gonna. I guess who your number 1 I thought was gonna be number 2, and I thought Doctor Strange was gonna be number 1.
Yes, well, I loved the Doctor Strange movie. While yes, it wasn't like I understand it was another origin story of Doctor Strange. It was a very interesting origin story, like how quickly they went through the whole Marvel timeline.
Right.
So it was very interesting to see.
I love how they like shoehorned that movie in, right? Because it comes out, let's see, between Spider-Man Homecoming and Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
But it's set during phase 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or right around phase 1. Mm-hmm. And start of phase 2. I mean, it spans a pretty big time. And they do such a good job of putting it in there with connecting it in ways where you know what time period it's talking about, but it doesn't feel forced in any way, in my opinion.
Yeah. And also, well, now moving back to Doctor Strange, we got a little off track there. I loved like how much he has changed throughout how we've seen him.
For sure.
Like we've seen him in Infinity War, Endgame, No Way Home, and he's changed so much, and it's amazing. And again, I'm really excited to see him in Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness.
Yep.
It's going to be very interesting. But will it affect my ranking? Probably. Maybe it will. Yeah. So that's my number 2. Any questions about that? Any?
No, I like that. I like that. I like that choice a lot. Did think it was going to be number 1. Yeah, I really like his story arc spanning so many movies, and like so many times, he's not the main character, but you still learn so much about what he's been doing, what's been going on, how he's been changing, how he's been getting stronger. Really cool, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, number 1. Who's
Number
it?
1, Spider-Man.
Yeah, I thought those two were going to be swapped. Switched.
I see what you did there.
Yes. Swatched.
So Spider-Man for my number 1. The reason is mainly because No Way Home. Because
which Spider-Man is this that you're picking? Huh?
it's our MCU Spider-Man, Tom Holland.
All right, good.
I loved him in Homecoming. I loved him in Far From Home, and I loved him in No Way Home. He does an excellent job in Homecoming he does an excellent job for his first movie in Homecoming for giving us that Spider-Man that we know and love.
Oh, yes, we do.
And why I continuously have loved him is because he's in a way he's like this. He's still kind of our neighborhood friendly Spider-Man throughout these 3 movies, but then it makes it with Far From Home. While yes, it was like a big villain that he was fighting in a way, it still felt like a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Agreed.
And then moving into No Way Home with all these villains he has to fight, and he just comes down from this high spot in the universe, and then just comes right back down to neighborhood.
For sure. Great choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you have put Doctor Strange ahead of Spider-Man until No Way Home, and that just kind of like pushed him past it, or has Spider-Man, always been ahead of him?
I would say that if it was before No Way Home, I would say Doctor Strange would have beat him. This is like just by 1%.
Yeah, just barely. I get it. I got you.
Yeah, so
I can respect that.
It was definitely a tough decision to put Spider-Man ahead of Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear your ranking.
All right, so I am very surprised that mine is so similar to you. I thought it was going to be very different, but actor choice. I picked Captain America. I did also agree Chris Evans is the perfect choice for Captain America. Yeah. He is just so genuine in the way he talks and acts, and just listening to interviews, you're like, that's Captain America. Like, he is such a good choice for that. He's a great actor. He's perfect looks just like Captain America. He's just perfect in every way for that role. And then he's really fun character. Love his character arc throughout, how he changes, how he stays the same, because that's like just as important as how he changes, because he is Captain America, so he does have very specific virtues that are never going to change, right? Mm-hmm. And they did such a good job with that. Anything else you want to? I mean, we've already talked about him. So.
Yeah, we basically talked about everything.
So number 4, story arc. This was really hard. I really, really wanted to put a certain character there, but I decided to move them because of this character.
Someone that's not in my top 5.
No, this is also your number 4. Scarlet Witch.
Okay.
So I really, really wanted to put Thor here, but I moved Thor to number 3 to make room for Scarlet Witch mainly because number 3, I have bringing the character to life, though I do believe they bring Scarlet Witch to life well. It's just the fact that, she's not a mutant when they bring her to life. It kind of takes away from the fact they're not actually bringing this character from the comics to life. But I do think her story arc is incredible. She goes through more than maybe any other character goes through.
She does.
From the start, you meet her, she's a villain when you meet her, right? She's fighting against them. She learns that, Ultron's going to destroy the world. She decides to change sides. She fights against Ultron. She loses her brother. Then you see her again. She develops this connection with Vision. but it's right in the middle of this turmoil that's going on. Civil War happens. She has to fight, choose a side. She has to fight against other heroes. Then you don't see her do Infinity War. Infinity War, what happens? She gets her love ripped away from her.
Oh.
Then she has to relive it all again in another fight with Thanos in Endgame. And then she goes and she, that's why she makes such a drastic decision to create Westview. And then she goes through everything she goes through in Westview. And I cannot wait to see what she goes through in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
But like just her story, she has such a deep story arc where she's always on like that border of like almost just like in the comics. That's why they do bring her to life really. Like she's almost a villain, just like in the comics.
Yeah.
So
best Marvel characters of like story arcs and stuff.
So then bringing the character to life at number 3, I have Thor. I love his story arc. I talked about it when we ranked all our Marvel movies. He has my favorite character arc, but I just think that the way that they write his character just brings to life every aspect of the character. His power, his humor, his like nonchalantness, his
Are you going to
ego.
tear up on me?
I'm trying not to. But like Chris Hemsworth brings that together. Chris Hemsworth is just such a fun guy. He brings like that out where like, he's this god who's living among men.
Would you say Chris Hemsworth, I can't say his name correctly, Chris, do you think he does kind of the same thing that Chris Evans does?
I do think he was a very, very good choice. And I think it's even more amazing is the fact that he was almost a nobody. Like his brother, Liam Hemsworth, was way more well known than he was when he got chose for this role. And the fact he did such a good job in the screen tests and everything to be able to pick him because he brings that character to life so well. So I want to say like, yes, he is an incredible choice, but like the difference between him and Chris Evans is Chris Evans, they knew exactly who he was, what type of actor he was. He's been acting for years, and we've seen him in tons of movies before that. We even saw him in other Marvel movies. But so like that's why I think that was such a good choice for Chris Evans. Whereas, yes, Chris Hemsworth was a great choice, but we hadn't really seen him necessarily in big roles. So it was an incredible choice, but it wasn't the same type of choice, right?
I see what you're saying.
But yes, great choice. He just brings every aspect of the character to life so well. He, and his character arc just like every movie he just nailed his character, even in the movies that maybe weren't as good, 2 and 3, but he still brought his character and brought his best, and the character was still written really well.
Okay.
So my top 2, at number 2 we have Spider-Man.
Yeah,
There's not much more we could say besides what we just said. Tom Holland has done an incredible job at bringing the character to life. His character arc from
it's okay.
Civil War,
It's okay.
Homecoming. We just like got to see his whole backstory. What like makes him choose to be Spider-Man every day. Then we get to see him up against a huge threat in I guess in Infinity Wars and such. Then in Far From Home we get to see him in another massive threat and just like see him grow and become more like stronger in his abilities, learning about his Peter Tingle, going in just like becoming so much more of Spider-Man. And then you learn so much about Peter Parker in No Way Home.
It's okay.
All right. So anything else you want to say about that?
No, I've got nothing else to say.
And then number 1, probably no surprise to anybody. It is Winter Soldier.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, shocking. I know. And yes, he does enter as a villain, but so does Scarlet Witch. So deal with it.
Oh yeah, true. I forgot about that.
But he is a hero, right? Like that's who he is. He was just forced to be a villain for 1.5 movies, I guess, kind of 2. And yeah, he was a villain, but his character arc to like him becoming a hero and like learning who he really is, and just like you following this character. I guess he doesn't get introduced as a villain. I guess Winter Soldier does, but Bucky Barnes. Anyways,
isn't Bucky Barnes Winter Soldier?
Yes, but I'm saying like Winter Soldier gets introduced as a villain. Bucky Barnes gets introduced as a hero.
Yeah,
and then he becomes.
And isn't Bucky Barnes a hero as Winter Soldier as well?
Yeah, eventually. Anyways, but yeah, his story arc is great. Another incredible choice, especially because Sebastian Stan, once again, not really a well-known actor. Sure, he had acted in a few things, but nothing huge that I can think of, unless I'm missing something. But they chose him. He's perfect choice. His just incredible acting. Oh my goodness, the way he can act, like in one movie, he can act so emotionless in Winter Soldier, right? In Civil War, he like develops emotion, and then like he like has, yes, he's still like that soldier, just like deadpan, like does his job, but he acts with no emotion and with emotion so well. Even like from the start of Winter Soldier to the end, right at the start, he's just this mindless thing, just doing his job, no emotion, and then at the end, no, you're my mission. You know,
Yeah.
like oh my goodness, so good. And then yeah, all the way into Endgame, just killing it. Oh my gosh, such a good character. And yeah, like he's one of those characters I love him in the comics. Same with Spider-Man, and it's like they surpassed my expectations so much with their portrayals in the movies. That's why they're my favorite.
Yeah. All right. All right. I have no other questions about your ranking.
Alrighty. So we can move on to
Upcoming.
Upcoming.
Well,
for
actually,
sure.
we should talk about our trailers.
Well,
That's enough
well,
coming.
yeah, in upcoming. Well, I guess we can start with back and forth this time because this will lead into what we're doing next week. Next week we will be pitting some of our top heroes together. We haven't decided exactly how we're gonna do it, but
I'm just thinking that we should just do our number one, my number one Star Wars with your number one Marvel.
Okay, we'll either do that or Marvel versus Marvel, Marvel versus Star Wars, Star Wars versus Star Wars, and like I don't know if we're gonna do all 5, top 3, top 1. Just kind of depends on how in depth we decide to go.
Oh yeah.
But next week it will be either a Marvel versus Marvel, Star Wars versus Star Wars, or Star Wars versus Marvel, Star Wars versus Marvel battle.
Yeah, yeah. I would like to see Mandalorian versus Winter Soldier. Sorry, I just want to put that
would be
that one.
Oh my gosh, yes, that'd be incredible. Sorry, but Mando's going down.
All right.
So that's what's upcoming for next week. We also will be releasing a few more things this week. Of course, After Party will be coming out later this week. And our first Instant Judgment will finally be coming out. Sorry for the delay. My weekend was crazy.
That's what he says. My weekend wasn't. My weekend was legit waiting for him.
So we have not got to see Uncharted yet, but that will be coming out. Actually, it'll probably come out before this came out. But and then we also, our next movie review of Casablanca will be coming out probably March 5th.
Yes. Which I finally saw, and I'm not saying anything else.
He has finally seen it. I saw it again, and yes, that movie will be coming out on March 5th. And then our trailer breakdowns probably coming out in the next week or so.
Yeah, expect at least the Batman one to be coming out here very soon.
Yeah, we'll try to get that out before the movie comes out, and then we'll get to work on the other ones.
Yeah. All right.
Upcoming in Star Wars, any big news? Any news on the Batman? Any news on Morbius?
I have gotten no news so far, but I also did very little research on it. So
you're good.
I'll just say what I've been saying this entire time. We have Andor coming out. That'll be, I believe. So we have Andor coming out. We have Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is now, I believe, confirmed to be coming out on May 25th, I think.
Okay.
But I hear a lot of rumors that everybody thinks that it's actually going to be coming out on May 4th, which would be actually kind of fun. It was just a whole way of like fooling everybody thinking it was coming out May 25th, but I don't know. Then we have Mandalorian season 3 coming out in winter, December.
Yes.
Then Bad Batch. That's about it. Nothing too crazy. What about you?
All right. I mean, there has still been, so much conjecture, speculation, leaks and everything coming out for both. Well, not necessarily much for Moon Knight, but tons for Multiverse of Madness. So is there anything that you dare ask?
There was something I was thinking that I might want to ask.
All right, we can talk about it. I don't have to give it away if you want. Just
I'll ask the question.
Yeah, what have you been thinking?
Well, so actually, it was just recently when we were talking about Wanda's story.
Okay.
Do you think she'll meet her brother in another universe?
Oh, that's so like
She's already
so
met
she
him again,
right
and
right. Are you saying do you think she'll meet a variant of Quicksilver
yeah,
or a variant of the MCU's Quicksilver?
maybe. Like, would it be?
Which
Would
actor?
she would she see someone who looks exactly like her brother, who
Mhm.
has the same abilities, basically kind
All
of the
right.
same
I'm
story?
guessing she will meet a variant of her brother at some point in it.
Yeah, or maybe a variant of Vision.
I also think, yeah, something that wasn't in the trailer, White Vision, right, who
Yeah.
disappeared at the end of Wanda Vision, um, wasn't in the trailer. That unless I missed an Easter egg somewhere, but I don't think he was, and I really think he's gonna show up in the movie.
Really?
I don't see why they had him fly away if he's just gonna
He might be doing something else during this whole.
disappear.
Like, he might be trying to figure out his own personal life.
Right. I mean, maybe they just but I feel like that's kind of bad storytelling. I
But
hope
yeah, I
they do
definitely
something
agree.
with him. I think he will show up.
Maybe
Um,
just as like an after
or
credits.
yeah, maybe. One thing because you had asked me like if a villain was, you know,
Confirmed.
confirmed. I think a villain just got confirmed.
Um,
Yes.
am I correct to say it's Dormammu?
Do you want me to answer that?
If it spoils, no.
I don't think it spoils it if I say yes or no. But I yes, I mean like though I thought I don't know if I talked about it on here or after party or whatever. The thought that Dormammu might be the main villain. Um, I don't think he will be the main villain, but I do think a main villain was confirmed.
It's Mordu, isn't it?
I mean, do you want me? I mean, if you want me to answer, I can.
Don't answer it.
I like just like this, it is still conjecture. It's not like I know that this is, but I think, I definitely think it was. Um, with Vision, I think they could just have also variants of, but they have it. There hasn't been anything that said they're gonna see variants of Vision. I just don't think that makes sense for seeing a story arc with Wanda and her possibly even running into variants of herself, and those variants don't have some sort of Vision in their life. That's just weird. So I think they have to have variants of Vision, which means they're gonna have to have White Vision in some way. What
Well,
role he's gonna
she
play?
doesn't know about White Vision.
Did she never saw him?
I don't think she ever saw
But
him.
even if she didn't, I'm just saying
She has no idea that that White Vision.
that's actually really interesting. What if at the end, let's say she's lost it, but White Vision comes and convinces her to
join the dark side.
join the light side. I'd be that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Does she know White Vision? That's true. She might not know White Vision exists. I kind of feel like she has to though at this point. Maybe she hasn't met him, but she knows he exists.
I don't think she does. No, she knows that they've been experimenting on him, and she knows that sword or whoever has his
but
body.
but if Vision was this creation of her own, wouldn't she know that he fought? He fought?
Oh, good point. But does she even know what actually?
I don't know. That's really interesting. Really interesting. But if I remember right, White Vision does fight Wanda and tries to crush her skull or something.
That's right.
So yeah, she has met White Vision. But yeah, it is really interesting how they'll fit that into Multiverse of Madness.
Okay, we're getting way too into this. Let's.
Well, this is yeah. I don't know that. Yeah, but yeah. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is, I think there will be variants of Vision, and I think there will be White Vision, probably coming in near the end. Um, and that's yeah. If he, because my theories at this point are that Wanda will be one of the villains, probably manipulated by a character that I do believe is now the main villain. maybe Vision convinces her to stop doing the bidding of said villain, and so she ends up having to fight said villain who tries to.
I just can't wait to see
That
Wanda
is
again.
interesting. Yeah, yeah. I like anything else you want to ask me
No,
about it?
I've got nothing else.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can say that was like leaked or stuff. There is. Okay, we could talk. I have a question for you. So that you probably know that because they're going through multiverse, there's a lot of characters from Fox universe, the Sony universe. So they're talking like, ooh, will this character show up? Will that character show up? Who would you like to see the most show up from another universe?
To be honest, I would love to see at least just X-Men.
Is there one in particular?
Not really one in particular. Maybe like I don't know. Maybe like Charles Xavier mainly, but I would like to just see some X-Men, just mutants in general,
Yeah.
show up. Because if we see mutants,
Okay. Would you be interested in seeing maybe a Spider-Man we already seen show up in the MCU show up again?
Oh, is that telling me something?
No, they didn't. Neither one of them showed up in the trailer.
True. Okay, well then, I don't know. Like that's
I do have a feeling one of them will.
What
a
you think? Like
feeling.
the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man might pop up.
I think he's probably the best bet to show up. But I don't know. I just have a feeling one of them will. I think he would be a good choice.
Well, now that you said something like that, made me think of something that came up, which I thought was for something else, but it could be for.
I literally have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, it's about Spider-Man. Something. Oh dear.
Okay. Moving on, I guess.
Yeah, let's move on because if I say this, it could really spoil something for what I've watched. Or
the other thing that's upcoming in the MCU that I guess we could talk about. Is there anything else, anything
No.
Midnight related? So yeah, we're getting basically a month away.
Yeah.
A month and a couple days away.
So get ready for us to be talking about Moon Knight.
Well, yeah. Something that happened. Thor: Love and Thunder. Marvel released their Lego set for Thor: Love and Thunder. Man, that's hard to say. So we did get to see what his costume is going to look like.
Oh.
And this probably means that, a trailer will be coming. So we got to see what his costume looked like.
Is he still fat, Thor?
No. I mean, not based on the Lego set. I don't know if you can make a Lego fat.
You can.
Okay. So yeah, we know what his costume's going to look like. We know what's her face's costume? Natalie Portman. What's her?
Natalie Portman?
What's the...
Jane Foster?
Jane Foster, thank you. We know what Christian Bale's villain's gonna look like.
Mm.
Yeah, I really like Thor's costume. It very much looks like classic Thor from the comics.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about his costume.
So no rendition, no fat Thor this time.
I mean,
no fat Thor with abs.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna be fat Thor no more.
All right. Well, I guess he is Thor, so he could possibly.
I think he could get in shape pretty darn quick.
Just take a quick jog around the spaceship,
So that was interesting. Oh, the other thing that I've been delving in a little bit, and I've told you off record, is the Marvels coming out.
Oh yes,
just over just under a year away. Brie Larson had some interesting things to say about this movie. It's going to be, quote, bonkers.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned last week the director had said things about maybe it being a sad movie, maybe us possibly losing Carol Danvers for a while, which made me think, maybe Rogue's coming.
How much you want that to be true?
I want that to be true so much. And with Multiverse of Madness, maybe introducing mutants, it could very well.
Well, yeah, with Multiverse of Madness, there's a lot of open opportunities of like certain characters coming to the MCU.
No, I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to go into comic book lore for a second. But with so here we'll play another little game. Let's say you probably don't care, but Rogue wasn't portrayed very well in the X-Men movies. I think we can all agree that there was poor acting choices, poor
yes,
story
yes.
writing when it came to Rogue's character, especially. It didn't feel like Rogue at all from the comics. It didn't. Yeah, just everything about her character in those movies was pretty poorly done. Would in a lot of the other ones too were pretty poorly done. Cyclops was not Cyclops at all, you know. So let's say they brought in some characters. If the mutants start coming in, would you want them to reprise any of the roles, recast everybody?
I would say, I would possibly say recast almost everybody. Maybe keep, um, I forget his name, whoever plays Wolverine. Maybe
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Maybe. I would say whoever, keep the, I want to recast Charles Xavier, but I'm not sure.
Patrick Stewart's Charles Xavier.
I
Definitely bring it back.
All right, but
No,
yeah,
but yeah, I do think so. I personally think it would be wise for the MCU to recast most people.
mhm.
Because like this whole playing off of our nostalgia, let's say,
Off our emotions.
it can only last so long. Like eventually they have to say whether those movies are canon or not, and then have to try and work those into the canon without it messing anything up and all that jazz. Whereas
Well-
I think it would be much, much better to say, okay, those are variants of our characters. Like they can have them in, Multiverse of Madness. You can have whoever the heck you want as these variants, but when you bring them into the MCU, I think it's best to have most of them recast. Yes, you can have people that did a good job, like Patrick Stewart, in the MCU. You can have I don't think Hugh Jackman's a good choice, and I really don't think that's gonna happen because Hugh Jackman said so did Patrick Stewart, but they said those characters died off in Logan. We don't need to bring them back.
Yes, yes.
I do so I really don't see them coming back in the MCU. But and I don't think Hugh Jackman's a great choice to bring back. Yes, he did an incredible job, but I don't think he is a Wolverine.
Okay.
Wolverine's supposed to be this short, burly guy, super hot-headed, loses control. That isn't really what Hugh Jackman plays well. He can play the moody part of it really well, but I do think there are better choices.
Okay.
Plus, I do also think that having a little bit younger Wolverine in the MCU, which they can make you saw in Logan, they can make him look young very well. But I do think that having a younger, more agile Wolverine would also be very smart for the MCU. And they do seem to be going younger, Seems like they're going to get young Avengers here soon. So having, a young, I guess you could have an older and then have a younger X-23 again. We already told that story in Logan, so that could be kind of weird. You could also bring in X-23. I thought she did a really good job of portraying Laura. But all that to be said, I think that recasting is the best choice.
All right.
Is there anybody you'd like to see play any?
With my actor knowledge, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have choices for sure. There's a couple I, would like, but so I guess I'll move on to Black Panther. Would you like to see him recast? Would you like to see us move on to a character that we already have? What would you like to see with Black Panther's character?
I don't know, to be honest. I think I would like to see Black Panther become someone else, have someone else play,
Take on the mantle.
take on the mantle.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's kind of sad to just have who Black Panther. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think that I think it's gonna be real tough for them. That's gonna be a hard choice. Do you do some sort of CGI to try and have quote unquote Chadwick Boseman at least for some scenes, so that you can pass the mantle on, type of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you completely just recast him? Are they going to have a Black Panther show up in Multiverse of Madness to test it out? See how the fans like a random other character playing him. They can, people don't like it. They go, oh, that was a variant, and
Yeah.
move on. I don't know, but I do think that's going to be a tough choice. In Wakanda Forever, I'm sure they're going to kind of total. I don't think they're going to fully choose one side or the other, unless something in Multiverse of Madness changes their mind. But um, all right. Anything else? Anything else you want to ask? And that kind of goes through at least next year's movies, a few TV shows, but not too much is known. We should be getting a Thor: Love and Thunder trailer soon, and I'll try to do a breakdown of that. But
Well, I think that just about does it. Or do we have something else that we need to?
I think we're good. We will see you on the after party.
Yeah. Don't put yourselves inside a box.